Thank you, the Honourable Speaker of the Parliament of the Republic of Fiji, Dr. Chico, the Honourable Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Prime Minister Bainimarama, Ministers of State, Members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps. Thank you very much for giving me this honour of addressing you here today. It is always a great pleasure to be visiting your lovely country. The warm hospitality of your people and government makes our delegation very much at home. Again, it is indeed an honor to address you in this honorable house today. I know Papua New Guinea is the only second country to be accorded this honor, and I greatly appreciate that. Papua New Guinea is a friend of Fiji. We thank you that we are also Melanesian brothers. We have a close bilateral partnership. The friendship between Fiji and Papua New Guinea continues to grow even stronger each year. Together, we are moving forward into building the relationship both in trade and investment, social engagement between our peoples, and there is a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect that has been established by our forefathers many, many years ago. Our relationship remains very vibrant. As I stated earlier, trade and investment is continuing to grow. There are more and more companies from both countries investing in both countries in many areas such as hotels, banks, agriculture. And again, we want to strengthen this engagement with your lovely country. We want to increase our partnership arrangements and of course strengthen our collective position on many issues. The global political economy as we live today is experiencing a lot of challenges, both in terms of geopolitics and of course trade and investments that have been very competitive across the global markets. We as Melanesians and Pacific Island nations must work together, simply by getting on and doing what is best for our own countries, but also for the region. It is therefore important that we continue to build a strong bond between our two countries and, of course, our sub-regional and regional organizations. Forums such as the Melanesian Spearhead Group and, of course, the Pacific Island Forum, where Fiji is a leader in many of these regional organizations, we must continue to work together. High-level exchanges between our countries must be deepened even further. We as Melanesians, while we may be small in population compared to the rest of the world, but we are stronger working together. There are many issues where we don't have much choice, but in fact by working together we can make a difference in our region and in our countries. There is probably no greater challenge confronting Papua New Guinea and Fiji, and of course the wider Pacific community. The dangers posed by climate change is a reality. Papua New Guinea and our other members of the region greatly appreciates Fiji's leadership on this issue. Fiji's central role at COP23 in Bonn, Germany is again an example where the right approach is needed to take a leadership role in making sure that our concerns are heard by the global community. Many of the Pacific Island nations did not cause this problem, but the threats we face today are real. Real in the sense that they continue to affect many of our communities by events such as the cyclones that we are experiencing. The long droughts that we experience in Papua New Guinea is hurting our people, hurting our economies. Extreme weather conditions lead to many destructions, and it is getting worse every year. That is why the leadership that is being provided by Fiji is very important when we continue to monitor the changes in ocean temperatures and water movements that are destroying many of our fish stock. And sadly, in Papua New Guinea, we are amongst the first of climate change refugees. Our people in the Cataract Islands in Bougainville have seen their houses and gardens washed away by many of the tidal waves that we are experiencing. They have to leave their homes that has been what they call home for thousands of years, and they've been resettled in other parts of our country. This is simply not fair. It's not fair to the villagers in Fiji, not fair to anyone in the Pacific. That is why it is important that we act together, because if we do not stand up for ourselves, we cannot expect other countries to stand up for us. As a group of countries together, and as developing nations, both from Africa to the Caribbean and the Pacific must work together. We have to maintain the pressure that we have to do in the industrialized countries so that they can continue to reduce their emissions. We have to start to reverse the climate change for safety of our communities and, of course, the health for our future generations. We are in this together as Pacific brothers and sisters. We must stand side by side so that the rest of the world can take notice of our concerns. Papua New Guinea again fully supports Fiji's leadership through the Talanua dialogue that has been facilitated through the Climate Action Partnership, which is the concerns that the Pacific is raising. In terms of our multilateral relations, we must also act together, particularly through agencies like the United Nations. Papua New Guinea is again fully supportive of Fiji's bid for the representation at the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Fiji has a unique and great experience in the UN forums, particularly when it comes to peacekeeping missions. On that note, let me take this opportunity to congratulate Fiji on its 40th anniversary of the international peacekeeping missions. Fijian military personnel have saved many lives across the world, and their efforts must be commended. Also, labor mobility is another area of shared interest between our two countries. We have seen many of our professionals work and live within our two countries, particularly when it comes to areas such as healthcare, education, and public service. There is much to be gained from the experience that each of us have, and we must continue to ensure that our people travel freely and work among our countries in the future. There are also economic similarities between our two countries. That is that we need to advance our economic opportunities so that we can advance development in our respective countries. More importantly, our governments must have a very clear focus on building and strengthening the infrastructure which leads to development of our countries. In Papua New Guinea today, we are building more and more roads, more airports, more seaports, more colleges and university campuses than ever before. We have to keep providing the infrastructure that is needed for our businesses to grow and our people to prosper. I am very, very impressed with the infrastructure development that has been taking place in your country in recent years. There is a lot for us to discuss and share the experiences we have, so again we can continue to advance the lives of our people. Ultimately, we must expand our free trade and investment between our two countries, which is central to economic development of any nation. Trade and investment between our countries is growing, but it could be better. I would like to explore the possibility of a free trade agreement between our two countries so that we can take advantage of the strengths and collective strength that we have in our respective economies. I propose that the two countries look at the free trade agreement, and I leave this to our officials to discuss this as we move forward. But let me again say that Papua New Guinea is going to host the APEC 2018 in November. APEC is a forum member of 21 economies that includes the United States, China, Japan, Australia, Russia, and many of the largest global economies. They account for half of the global trade, more than half of the global GDP. It is an enormous trading bloc, and it provides enormous opportunities for many of our countries in the region. APEC in Papua New Guinea is an opportunity for Pacific Island nations, and in particular PNG and Fiji, to make sure that we improve our linkages between the APEC economies. As the only Pacific Island nation in the APEC community, it was our time to host the APEC leaders meeting. we are ensuring that this APEC leaders meeting is a truly Pacific one. That is that Asia must know where the Pacific is, and Asia must know the vulnerabilities of the Pacific that we live in. We still have the highest level of APEC security being provided to all our visiting leaders. In that extent, we have extended the invitation to all the leaders in the Pacific to come and join us for this meeting. And I want to also extend the invitation to our Prime Minister for Fiji to address our CEOs Summit, which will be attended by close to 9,000 delegates from all over the world. APEC will be more relaxed in the Pacific style, and of course, but it will continue to maintain the relevance of the agenda that is before us. APEC Forum offers a great deal to its members, particularly to developing economies like ours, and it is an opportunity for us to build capacity and take advantage of the programs that are being offered by APEC community. There is a substantial agenda listing that is going to be discussed. This includes many areas such as forestry, agriculture, fisheries, transportation, SME businesses, as well as emergency preparedness and counter-terrorism security issues. In each of these activities, it is advanced as trying to build capacity and making sure that the information that we share between member economies can be experienced. And of course, the theme is to harness inclusive opportunities, embracing the digital future of our global community. That is that it will improve connectivity between our economies, connectivity for our people, and making sure that we promote sustainable and inclusive growth within the region. This is a great opportunity for the Pacific, making sure that the Asian economies know the opportunities that are available in the Pacific region. The theme is very important because it will lead to growth, it will lead to connectivity, and making sure that we take advantage of the digital technologies that will be the catalyst for growth into the future. Importantly, 2018 APEC in Papua New Guinea is to ensure that we leave nobody behind. Our region has been experiencing economic growth, but we must make sure that this growth is inclusive. We have to create opportunities for small businesses to expand. We must make sure that education is available to our population. At its core, APEC remains a forum for liberalizing trade and investment across the region. It has experienced substantial growth because APEC communities have removed all trading barriers so that there is free flow of trade and investment between its APEC economies, which has been also leads to job growth within those markets. Papua New Guinea today is halfway between hosting the 2018 APEC, and this is a challenging environment for Papua New Guinea, especially given the global challenges in global trade, with a rise in isolation themes by many of its member economies. But so far, Papua New Guinea has been able to develop a consensus statement on regional trade at the ministerial level. Currently, in terms of the global arena, this is the only statement that everyone has agreed to. There has been lack of inability of the European EU ministers and the G7 to produce a statement on free global trade this year. Commencing 4th of August, a third round of senior officials meeting will take place in Port Moresby. This will be followed by a high level of ministerial meetings, both in finance, mining, women in economy, providing again opportunities for the Pacific to participate at these ministerial forums. I again extend the invitation to all our ministers who wish to participate in this arena. You are most welcome to do so. The conclusion of the APEC year will be the Leaders Summit in November, attended by Prime Ministers and Presidents of all the APEC economies. The APEC Leaders Week will be including all the Foreign Affairs and Trade Ministers, and more importantly, the APEC CEOs Summit. A total of around 9,000 government officials, business leaders will be in Port Moresby. So this is an opportunity for the Pacific business and Pacific governments and Pacific countries to have an active involvement in discussions about the opportunities that lie ahead of us. That is why I have invited all the leaders of the Pacific Island Forum members to attend the APEC. Obviously, Australia, New Zealand, and Papua New Guinea are the only members who are attending. But I want PIF leaders and the countries to be actively participant in this meeting. As I said, Asia, APEC is not only about Asia, it's also about the Pacific. It is important that we highlight that to all the other leaders who are coming from Russia and from Mexico and rest of the Pacific Rim, so that they know that there exists a large community across this huge ocean of ours. I've also extended an invitation to our Prime Minister and your government to participate as the President of China, His Excellency Xi Jinping. He will be visiting a state visit to Papua New Guinea in the days before the Leaders Summit. He has extended an opportunity to meet with the Pacific Island countries, especially those who have one China policy towards the relationship that they manage with Chinese government. That is why Prime Minister and the members of this Honorable House, this is an historic occasion for Papua New Guinea. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you here. Papua New Guinea is a true friend in Fiji. I can assure you that we will continue to work together so that we can advance the interests of our people. We want to continue to develop and, of course, continue to deliver growth. And it is very important that we continue to improve the living standards of our people. This can be only done through a partnership and goodwill of both of our people and our countries. Thank you, and may God bless Fiji, and may God bless Papua New Guinea. Thank you very much.